Welcome to Real Talk, the show where we look at issues facing our youth. My name is Ome Kongo. I'm your host, and today we have a very special guest who's going to talk to us about the crisis of fatherhood. Across the country, we see issues of fathers missing from their homes, and my guest today has created a wonderful, not only a wonderful musical video, but also has started a campaign to raise awareness about the importance of being a father. Now, some of y'all may also know him from the 5 seasons he spent as Poot on the HBO hit series The Wire. Mr. Tray Chaney, welcome to Real Talk.
What's up, man? I'm so honored to be here with you, man. Thank you.
I appreciate you being here. And this is a topic that people shouldn't just talk about when Father's Day comes around. This is a national crisis, not just in the black community, but across the country.
Definitely.
What is it that made you feel like you needed to get involved and start a fatherhood campaign?
Well, you know, being an artist in this entertainment industry, especially as a hip-hop artist, you know, a lot of people, like you said, they know me as playing Poot on the HBO series The Wire, but I figured if I'm going to do hip-hop music, if I come from a background of being on a real show, I have to discuss real issues. And when you look at today's society, it's a lot of children growing up without their father in their life. You know what I'm saying? So I said, man, let me just get with my production company, Fire Drop Music. Big shout-outs to the producer, Don Cox, that produced it. And we came up with this record called Fatherhood, and it's basically stressing the importance of a father being in their kid's life, because you don't want your kids or your children to fall victim to the challenges that's going on out here in this world today, like crime, violence, drugs. And this is not taking anything from a child that may be growing up in a single-parent family household where the mother's doing everything. But as men, you know, as fathers, we got to step in there for our kids, and we got to help, you know, our child's, you know, mothers out as well. And Lamar Tyler, who's definitely a very great friend of mine, he's the creator of blackandmarriedwithkids.com, also the movie Men Ain't Boys. We were already talking about doing a national campaign just on manhood, going around trying to inspire the men around the country. And when I presented the song to him, Fatherhood, you know, Lamar shoots movies and he shoots videos. So he said, you know, we're going to shoot the video for it. And truly, I mean, we knew it was a special song, but we really didn't know that it was going to get this much attention.
We'll talk about some of the attention.
Yeah, I mean, man, he shot the video January, like the last part of December, but we premiered the video January 4th. Okay. And since the video has premiered, we're over like 5,200 hits on YouTube. It's popping up all over the hip-hop sites, allhiphop.com, This Is 50, Essence.com, Huffington Post, Clutch Magazine. It's popping up all over the web, and it just goes to show that as a hip-hop artist, I touch someone's life. Yeah. You know, so I think that's like the greatest part about it, man, being able to do a hip-hop record with a message. Now,
do you think that, generally speaking, as it relates to the absence of fatherhood, do you feel like, you know, media is better than anybody I know, do you feel like it's an American multimedia problem? If you look on television, fathers are idiots. Homer Simpson, you know, American Dad, King of the Hill. I mean, the days of, you know, Bill Cosby and other fatherly type figures, that's kind of done. And even on shows with Damon Wayans, you know, My Wife and Kids, the father's almost like an idiot. The uncle may be an authoritative figure, but the father. So do you feel like the media kind of encourages fathers to be absent, or at least not present, even if they are around?
Yeah, well, given, you know, the media gives that type of impression, you know, in TV, which maybe they're trying to do it for ratings or they're trying to make people laugh, but at the end of the day, you know, this is reality, and it's some kids out there that could be watching, like, it could be giving them a bad impression. So I think, you know, somehow the media is doing stuff like that, but then that's where, you know, we come in as musicians, and I'm an actor as well. I got my own production company with the whole movie thing going on. So that's when we got to put out these real stories about how it's important for these fathers to really be in those kids' lives. It's not about joking around or playing with the subject like that, because you never know who you could be affecting out there in today's society.
Absolutely. Now, as it relates to hip hop, what about your perspective as it relates to hip hop? Do you feel hip hop does a strong job in promoting fatherhood? I was recently at a Jay-Z concert, and he's
Right.
like, he dropped the song from their Watch It Throne album, and then he said, shout out to all the dads taking care of their kids. You don't really hear that a lot in hip hop. And since you come from the position of an author, an educator, an actor, and a hip hop artist, why did you choose specifically hip hop to use as the message to get this out?
Well, because like you said before, man, it's really not shown a lot. One key point that I wanted to stress as far as the fatherhood campaign is going on, I actually use my 5-year-old son and I use my real father. I have not seen that done in a very long time. I'm saying a very long time because, and it might not hasn't been done. But I wanted to stress that point because as a hip hop artist, you don't see that.
Yeah.
So it was important for me to say, if making this transition from an actor to a hip hop artist, how hard that can be sometimes.
Yes, sir.
So it's time to touch people's souls. It's time to touch their lives, and it's time to really bring awareness to this issue. So I guess looking from an entertainer's perspective, I said, if I'm not seeing a lot of it, how can Tray Chaney separate himself from any other hip hop artist? Okay, come out and really stress the importance of this popular subject, which is fatherhood.
Yes.
And I think that's how I did it.
No, absolutely. And when you deal with these issues, go out and do workshops, talk to people, are you talking to youth? Are you just talking to men?
Yeah.
Are you talking to women as well? Because truth be told, we know that there are a lot of men who want to be involved in their in the lives of their kids, but the women aren't letting them. I mean, this is real talk. So have you encountered that as well on the female side?
Well, actually, it's a wide variety of individuals that we speak to. Men, women, young people, older adults.
Yeah.
And with the situation of a female saying, I don't want my child's father to be able to see my kid, that's kind of a tricky situation or a tricky topic. But as a man, when we start addressing that, it's the man as well as the father's responsibility to at least try to be in that kid's life. Because at the end of the day, if you're going through problems with the child's mother, it's going to affect the kid.
Right.
You don't want this kid growing up having some type of animosity toward you because you just decided to give up.
Yeah.
That's where those values in life come in. You really gotta stay prayed up. You gotta put God first. You gotta honor your family, and you gotta really know that this child that you created, you're playing with someone else's life.
Yeah.
This is your child's life. This is your seed. So when you encounter those situations, all you can do is give the females good counseling on what needs to be done. The child has to have that male father figure.
Absolutely. Now, do you feel optimistic when you go out to these places and do your workshops? Are you seeing hopelessness on the part of the audience, or are people leaving with a sense of feeling inspired to be involved?
Well, I'm starting to get that a lot because, like you said, people are leaving with that feeling to be inspired more. Even if they may have came to the workshop and they're having a bad day.
Yeah.
And especially like that topic is so, like emotional and touchy.
Right.
So it's like we want to, like how we're talking now, this is the way we're talking to them. We're in their face. We're this close where you can touch them. And then it's coming from, not only just, it's coming from an actor that played probably on one of their favorite shows. You know what I'm saying? Like,
absolutely.
Poot from the Wire spitting his knowledge to me, and now I see him in a whole nother perspective. And that's kind of like how we're going at him, like straight up, and really just trying to comfort and work with him and just let him know that, it's about the kids at the end of the day,
Absolutely. Now, you also do this, we talked about it as a rapper, but you're also an author. I mean, through some of your writings, you talk about, fatherhood, but also just community issues. It seems like you're real focused on just letting people know that you're real. Like, you got real experiences. I mean, are these some of the themes you also talk about in your book as well?
Definitely. The book, it's called The Truth You Can't Betray, and it's basically just focusing on how I grew up out here in Forestville, Maryland. How I started off in this entertainment business at the age of 8 years old. But, growing up, as a young person in Forestville, Maryland, 2 lights over, you're in Washington, D.C., there can be trials and tribulations, you know? So it's really just describing the encouragement for a young person as well as an adult to really strive for their dreams. Yeah. The way we talking now, I wrote it in a conversational piece. You know, it's on Amazon.com right now. And I just wanted to, like, you know, inspire the world to really say, you know what? You can do this. Yeah. The negativity is played out. It's time to be positive. It's time to be leaders. It's time to be the next president out here. You know, it's time to be movers and shakers. And that's what I just put in the book, man. I just wrote about some of my experiences, ways that individuals can learn from them, some of the things that I may have did wrong. Like I said, the person, the reader, the consumer can read it and they can really learn from it. And the book's been doing well. It's been accepted in the Prince George County library system. Wonderful. You know, so we just we started doing a book tour in April of 2012, and everything that I do, I kind of like try to base it as a soundtrack. So the music that I'm doing is kind of like the soundtrack to this book. Fatherhood, because I talk real thoroughly about my dad in this book, about how he was as a man, and you know how he was in my life. Him and my mom, they've been married for 31 years. Wow. And congratulations. You know, thanks, man. People say that to them, but they just say that to the kids too. I know, right? But my father just being in my life, you know, I'm really excited about that. Just to have him there all throughout my 30 years, to just say, you know, this is the type of way that I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna show you how to be a man, and things that you wouldn't normally discuss with your mom, I can teach you that. So, I mean, all of this, man, it's in The Truth You Can't Betray. Like I said, it's on Amazon.com, and I'm just excited about this whole positive journey that I'm on right now. We talk about the journey. A lot of the young folks watching the show, they're on a journey. You know, right. What's one piece of advice before we go to the break and come back? You're going to introduce the video. Yes. What's the one piece of advice you would give to the young kids out there, the teenagers who are just going through a tough time and figuring out how to find their direction? Maybe their father's not around, or maybe they're a young father. What would you just say to them? Well, the thing that I can definitely say to them, it goes back to those values. It goes back to, you know, finding God and putting God first, and honoring your mother and honoring your father, even if it's a circumstance where your father's not in your life. Try your best to reach out, because you never know, by reaching out, you never know how that can affect or move someone. But one thing, you got to continue to follow your dreams. You have to put the negative people out of your life and surround yourself around positive people, and then more positive things will come from that. And you've been a living example of that. Living proof, man. Definitely. And there's just a healing aspect that can come of it. I remember Jay-Z telling Oprah that if he didn't reconcile with his father, he would have never been able to have a relationship and get married. And now we're seeing they've produced a child from that healing. And that's the type of healing you're talking about? Yeah, it's about forgiveness. You know what I'm saying? And just like Jay-Z said, you know, he had to reconcile, but he forgave his father. You know, and now he can sleep better at night, even though the circumstances with his father that happened, but he can sleep better at night. And like you said, he's married, he has a child, and we all know that Jay's going to be in that child's life, you know, forever. Yes, and it's just a great movement, man. It's just a great fatherhood campaign. I'm completely enthralled by the campaign. I look forward to coming back from the break so everyone else can see the video. Definitely. And also talking here a little bit about your own son as well. Right. Definitely. We'll be right back with more Real Talk.
He scores! We're going into overtime. I'll tell you, Duncan has been great in the clutch all
The smallest moments can have the biggest impact on a child's life. Take time to be a dad today.
Welcome back to Real Talk, the show where we look at issues facing our youth, and we're talking to Tray Chaney, and he is the creator of the video and writer and orator, you know, MC in the song Fatherhood. Why don't you go and just introduce it to the entire Real Talk community?
Okay, y'all, this is your boy Tray Chaney. I'm live right here on Real Talk, and you're about to check out the world premiere of my new video, Fatherhood, directed by Lamar Tyler, produced by Don Cox. Check it out.
Yeah, father to a father, listen clear. The topic of discussion is sincere. Honestly, the reason why I try to inspire all these fathers, cause it represents a light. I swear I'd rather die than be labeled as the guy. I swear I'd rather die than be labeled as the guy. I swear I'd rather die than be labeled as the guy. I swear I'd rather die than be labeled as the guy. When I was young, my father told me that I would be the man. And never did he lie. I got the world in my hand, and my little man look up to me. He see how I extra grind. Children are the future. Believe I'm going to invest in mine, and never mind what they expect. This world can do what's wrong, so it's time to stand correct. I ain't saying that I'm perfect, but Malachi deserve it. Now every day I'm working, so I never see him hurting. Yes, I'm a rapper, educated author, groundbreaking actor, full-time father. Only thing I wanna do is show him how we ought to move. Sky is the limit, do anything you wanna do. And I put him on this earth, so even though it's tough, I know I gotta make it work. Giving it my all, still try to give more. I swear I would die for the one I live for. Father to a father, listen clear. The topic of discussion is sincere. Honestly, the reason why I try to inspire all these fathers, cause it represents a light. I swear I'd rather die than be labeled as the guy. I swear I'd rather die than be labeled as the guy. I swear I'd rather die than be labeled as the guy. I swear I'd rather die than be labeled as the guy. Yeah, see where I'm from, the fathers hardly be around. Mothers working 2 jobs just so they can feed the child. Girls acting older, even though they never grew. Boys grow to be the same father that they never knew. So I say the time is now to make it change before our kids only see us putting flowers on their grave, or maybe talking to them through a glass on the phone. Ask why, they gon' say that my daddy wasn't home. I swear I'd rather die than be labeled as the guy. I swear I'd rather die than be labeled as the guy who couldn't hold his own, wasn't there for my fam. Be looking in the mirror like I failed as a man. And I try, I swear I really try. I see my son needs me when I stare into his eyes, so we gotta step up. Can't leave our kids alone. I didn't say it would be easy, but we gotta be strong. Let us do the struggling so they don't have to bother. Cause if we got kids, they should have a father. Let us do the struggling so they don't have to bother. Cause if we got kids, they should have a father. Father to a father, listen clear. The topic of discussion is sincere. Honestly, the reason why I try to inspire all these fathers, cause it represents a light. I swear I'd rather die than be labeled as the guy. I swear I'd rather die than be labeled as the guy. I swear I'd rather die than be labeled as the guy. I swear I'd rather die than be labeled as the guy. To a father, listen clear. The topic of discussion is sincere. Honestly, the reason why I try to inspire all these fathers, cause it represents a light. I swear I'd rather die than be labeled as the guy. I swear I'd rather die than be labeled as the guy. I swear I'd rather die than be labeled as the guy. I swear I'd rather die than be labeled as the guy who wasn't around.
I'm definitely feeling the video, man.
Thanks, man.
It's hot. And even as we were talking about it before we got here,
Yeah.
I probably sent it to a couple of hundred people.
Right.
And I'm just glad that you're premiering it on TV now, particularly for this audience to see. There were several lines that stuck out with me throughout the song, but one that really has been pressing in my head was when you talk about children growing up to be the father they never knew.
Yeah.
So basically, from what I see, and correct me if I'm wrong, you're saying that by a father being present or not being present, there's still an influence one way or the other.
Yeah, it's still an influence, man. When the line, girls acting older, even though they never grew, boys grow to be the same father that they never knew.
Yes.
So just to explain that, if the father wasn't in their life, say the father was out involved in a whole bunch of negativity, then you got this kid who's getting raised by his mother, single mother.
Right.
Single household. And he's facing all of these challenges. Mom can't really handle him. He doesn't know where the father is, so he turns to the streets.
Right.
But if it was flipped, you know, for like a remix or something, and if it was, you know, boys grow to be the same father that they knew. That's, for instance, like my dad. You know, he's in my life.
Yeah.
And he taught me how to love God. He taught me how to love a family. I was taught how to treat a woman from seeing how he treated my mom.
That's right. That's right.
So it's that type of feel. You know, it's pretty. It's funny that you pointed that line out though, because when I even sit here and talk about it and explain it, it makes sense.
Yeah.
You know, it's we are the examples. You know, men, women, mothers, fathers. We're the examples for these children.
Yeah, yeah.
So they have to see some type of example. Now, this young boy is seeing an example of dad. You know, Papa was a Rolling Stone, being out there in the streets doing whatever. 9 times out of 10, you know, if it's not no balance there, if he doesn't have the uncles, the grandfathers, this thing could take a turn for the worse.
Right. And one of the things I also love in the video, your father's in there, but your son Malachi is also in the video. And you're an actor. You know actors. You could have you know, grabbed somebody off the street. Right. But it seemed like you wanted to make this really personal. How was that experience doing the video with him?
Man, it was one of the greatest experiences of my life because, like you said, I got to work with my son. He's 5 years old. You know, I got to work with my dad, you know, and who's been in my life since I was born. So, you know, just to have those two on a professional, you know, movie set. You know, Lamar Tyler is one of the greatest directors of our time, you know. And just to have them participate in this fatherhood movement, campaign, video, it was definitely an honor. And it's so funny because Malachi, he's into wrestling. Like he's into football and sports and stuff like that. This was like his first time really doing something on screen with like acting or doing a video, and he did so good. Yeah, you know, definitely. He was really because you know, with a kid, you really got to give them something that they want to do. Right, absolutely. So the brushing his teeth, the eating his cereal, the playing outside, that's Malachi. Yeah, that's him. Right. So I mean, that was something, you know, that he'll be able to look back on. You know, years and down the line, when he turns 30 years old, he'll be able to look back and say, I remember when, you know, my dad did that. You know, so yeah, man. It was, like I said, man. It was just, it was overwhelming in a very great way. Like I was really like overjoyed about it.
Yeah, it shows in the video. Definitely. What do you think it's going to take for this country to get serious about this thing about fathers? I mean, we see statistics, 70% of black households, single parent, you know, this amount of men are in prison. You know, people can talk and throw the stats out. Right. But it doesn't seem like people are getting serious about tackling this issue. What do you think it will take or needs to happen for this country to take this issue seriously?
It's going to take more doers. It's going to take more men stepping up, such as me and yourself. We're already doing something real positive in the community by just touching on the topic. So it's going to take more doers such as ourselves to get out to, you know, even going to the jails. Yes. You know, it could be someone who's getting ready to get out of prison, a father that has to, you know, get in that type of mode of being there for their children. We want to speak at the jails. We want to speak all around the country at these seminars. We want to really uplift and encourage fatherhood because it's so important and it's a need for today's society. Yes. Not just for the kids. I mean, for the kids, but today's society overall.
Right. And as we talked before the break about some advice you would give to young folks going through things, what advice would you give to some fathers right now who really been thinking about picking up that phone or driving by a school but have just been so hesitant? You know, what would you say to them right now? Because I'm sure if they're watching, they're getting inspired by what you're saying, but they're still like,
yeah, that's true. And I mean, and they can, it may be a situation like we mentioned earlier where they're going through something with the child's mother. Yeah. But at the end of the day, as a man, as well as a father, they have to somewhere down the line understand it. That child was created by them. Yeah. And the child is their responsibility.
Yeah.
So for the ones that's just like, I'm trying to just try to put it somewhere down in your head that it'll be inspiring to your child. You know, and at the end of the day, that's what it's all about.
Oh, no doubt. Now, do you also mentor other musicians? Because I know you're also interested in talking to young artists as well.
Right.
About the importance of maybe not necessarily being role models, but at least speaking or addressing some of these social issues that we face.
Well, as far as like, young up-and-coming hip-hop artists that talk to me, because I still consider myself young and up-and-coming as well. And if we could just start, sharing knowledge with each other, and my advice to them on really when you're out there and you're really speaking upon a subject, as well as in hip-hop, just make sure that it's something that people can really identify with. That's the main important thing, because today, like, we live in a world, man, where there's no morals. It's a lot of negativity out here. So it's time to start speaking on real subjects, real topics. My album, Jack of All Trades, it was supposed to come out actually January 13th, but it was pulled back because I wanted to dig deeper into today's society. Fatherhood was a record that I touched on, like we just seen the video. It's on iTunes right now. I got another record on iTunes that I'm going to release, that's going to be the second single, called War, and it stands for World at Risk. And it's touching on what our president is going through. It's touching on young guys out here becoming victim to being raised by drug dealers. But what else do they got? They can't get a job. The economy's bad, so they feel they have to turn there. But it's just saying, how can we really just, make this world a better place? How can we continue to promote positivity? I got another record called Dear Haiti. It's like a letter to Haiti. We can't forget about what happened in January of 2010.
That's right.
These are real topics. So that's where I feel, when it comes to mentoring other artists, hip-hop artists, when it comes to mentoring fathers, men, we have to dig deep into what's going on in this world. Because it's, you see how it's designed.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So, man, I'm just like, to be able to have the platform of the HBO series The Wire, to be able to come on shows like Real Talk and kick it with you, man, it's just a real good look. And like I said, we're both doing things in the community that can inspire the world.
Yes, sir.
So this is just a great platform. The Wire gave me that platform, so now I figure that was a stepping stone. Now I got a voice. So I got to continue to motivate, continue to be the inspiration.
And where can people go if they want to see some of that motivation online?
Well, actually, I have, a website. It's the Tray Chaney blog.tumblr.com. And the correct spelling of my name is TrayChaney. And it's blog.tumblr. And that's TUMBLR.com. And my Twitter is @Tray Chaney. And Facebook, Tray Poot Chaney, because I had to put my character name in there so they can identify.
No doubt.
And I'm all over line, man. You go to YouTube, you'll see the footage of me dancing at 8 years old on YouTube. I'm all over line. And like I said, the book, Amazon.com, this is for sale, man. The record, Fatherhood, it's on iTunes. I got a lot of records on iTunes. We're just throwing stuff out there to really get people warmed up for this album.
All right. Well, I wish you luck on the campaign and look forward to hearing more about it.
Thanks, man.
All right. That is going to do it for another episode of Real Talk. If you have any questions, feel free to email me at realtalk@omakeandgo.com. And remember, our youth are 50% of our population, but 100% of our future. Let's make sure we're taking care of them. See you next time.